Father in heaven, truly, we're leaning on you. And Lord, this talk today, this first hour is going to be on exercise and how you created our bodies for movement and you created our bodies to be in health. And Lord, you created exercise to be one of the medicines to be able to get us to that place. Father, I pray that you be with us now as we learn. Help us to realize that it all comes from you. Though we may seek to strengthen our bodies, Father, we ultimately need to be leaning on your arms for all things. I pray that you be with us now. May your Holy Spirit abide with us. That you be with all the seminar presenters this afternoon. And may those that are listening be blessed as well as those presenting as well. For we ask this in Jesus' name. And everyone can say, Amen. Okay. Welcome to our 5th seminar. Man, it feels like it's going so fast. And have you guys enjoyed PYC so far? Has it been a blessing?
Yes.
And we're really happy to then the opportunity to come out to PYC. Just enjoy. I feel like half of my body has been yearning to come to Philippines because I'm half Filipino, you know. So I've been fulfilled. Okay. What I'd like to talk to you guys today, talk about today with you, is health in motion. Now, we've talked about health when eating. We've talked about health that helps us to think clearly. But a lot of health really comes from how we move our bodies. And last time I gave this talk, I was a resident at Florida Hospital. But I've really been impressed with how the body is able to heal itself, and God has designed it to be something that if we put the right ingredients in, it'll deliver great results. You know, there's so many things that we can do to prevent us from having to go to the doctor all the time, prevent us from having to take lots of medications. I don't know what it's like here in the Philippines, but in the States, I see some patients, and they're young, 40, 50 years old, and they come in with a bag of pills. They're taking a pill for this blood pressure, a pill for that, a pill for that, and a pill for that. I'm like, wow. And I was like, do you exercise? No. Do you eat healthy? No. Do you get good rest? No. Do you trust in God? I believe in God. Do you trust Him? You know, and just down the line. And so I hope that this is something, you know, we as Adventists, we've got, you know, when we talk about, you know, we do our evangelistic series, when we talk about health, we usually talk about don't eat this, eat this, you know, maybe things like that. But I've never been to a prophecy seminar where we've talked about the importance of exercise. Have you guys ever been to one? Where they preached about exercise and how, unless it's like we need to run away from the mark of the beast, you know? But anyways, let's dive into this. I'd like to give you some personal information about exercise for me, scientific information, and then give you some tools that you'll be able to use. And how many of you guys came to my nutrition lecture? Raise it up, next and high. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so how many of you did not come to my nutrition lecture? Okay, good. So I'm going to give a test. Do you guys remember I gave you a little testimony about that guy Jose? Remember? I'm going to use it again, because a lot of people didn't hear it. So hopefully it'll be exciting for you again when I use it, because part of his transformation was exercise as well. Okay, so let's go right into it. Okay, so question: is exercise important?
Yes.
Then why isn't everyone doing it? You know? If exercise is important, then why do we struggle to do it? Why is it so hard, you know? That's one thing we can always push off. Well, exercise equals improved health. Now I'm just going to go through evidence. This is all from medical journals showing the benefits of exercise on our longevity and our health. Okay, this is from the New England Journal of Medicine, volume 341. It says, walking 3 or more hours a week decreases the risk of heart attack by more than 50%. Walking 3 hours more a week. You can decrease your chance of having a heart attack. This is from JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association. Physical activity by itself can decrease cholesterol levels. Just even if you don't change your diet. If you exercise regularly, it'll drop your cholesterol levels. The more active you are, the lower your blood pressure is. You want to stop taking blood pressure medications? You have some people that you're wanting to minister to at your church, some older people, some younger people. They have high blood pressure, they're getting headaches, they're having problems with their vision. I mean, a very common cause, for people having headaches all the time, it's either dehydration or the blood pressure side. Check their blood pressure, see what it is, and exercise may be something that would be able to help them. Low fit men are nearly 4 times as likely to develop diabetes than high fit men. So if I have one man here, comes from the same mother, another man here, they eat the same food, they go to the same church, they do everything the same, but this guy exercises daily, and this guy exercises maybe once a week. This guy is 4 times more likely to develop diabetes in his lifetime than this guy. Does that make sense? Just from exercise. Physical activity can protect against smoking. They did a study, it's amazing. They did a study where they had people that smoke and people that don't smoke. And in each of those groups, what they did is they found that of the people that smoke, those who were couch potatoes, you guys know what a couch potato is? Those that don't just sit around all the time? Couch potatoes versus those that exercise. And then for the non-smokers, couch potatoes versus those that exercise. They found that if somebody is a smoker but exercise, he is more likely to live a longer life than a person that doesn't smoke but doesn't exercise at the same time. Does that make sense? So it's healthier to smoke and to exercise than it is to not smoke and never exercise. You guys see that? It's amazing. So it's one thing for us not to smoke, but if we don't do anything, we're not doing anything to exercise, it's not good for us. Physical activity decreases our cholesterol levels. Adding intense daily exercise could decrease stroke risk by as much as 68%. Now, the emphasis here is on intense exercise. You guys know what strokes are? It's called the same here. For blood clots in the brain, lose CVA. Exactly. Are you a nursing student? All right, good. So CVA, that's right, cerebral vascular accident. Okay, and fitness level found to be the best predictor of cardiac risk when compared to. Okay, so basically what they did is they took all these people, they asked them, and all these people that had they took a bunch of 65-year-olds, and they found, do you exercise? Do you smoke tobacco? What's your blood pressure? What's your cholesterol? They did an EKG, electrocardiogram. They asked them about their coronary artery disease history and their family history. And all those things, they found the one predictor whether or not those people were likely to have a heart attack in the next 5 years is how much do you exercise. Not about smoking, not about your diet, not about anything. Those things also are important, but the most important was, do you exercise? So you see me, I'm always running around sweaty because I'm like, man, I have to give this talk, and so I can't be a hypocrite, I'm going to give this talk and exercise. I better make sure I'm exercising. Okay. Hours of weekly walking time inversely correlated with hip fractures. They found that people, older women, you have this problem here with osteoporosis, and where, older women, if they fall down, they can break their hips. They found that if you exercise more, it has something to do with the fact that when you're running, the more pressure you put on your legs, that pounding actually breaks down the bone, microfractures in the bone, which causes the bone to heal. And what happens is that when it heals stronger. And so it gets stronger the more you do this, the more active you are. And this is actually true. Fatter women, mataba, women, they tend to not have as much osteoporosis because every time they walk, they have so much weight. And so when they hit, skinnier women, when they're older, tend to break their hips more, especially if they don't exercise. So it's very important to exercise because you don't want to have those problems. If you don't exercise, what happens, your bones don't get that pressure, that pounding. So what happens is the bone just slowly starts to dissolve. And then you get up one day, the phone rings, broken. So it's important. 1 hour of walking per day reduced breast cancer risk by 21%. We talked in our nutrition lecture about the importance of if you didn't listen to the nutrition lecture, you guys got to get a hold of it. We went over a lot of amazing things there, specifically dealing with dairy and meats and things and how you can decrease your breast cancer risk. But here with exercise, decreasing your breast cancer risk by 21%. Highly active men have a 67% less colon cancer incidence than inactive men. It's across the board. It would be amazing if I just came in here and said, you can decrease your risk of stroke by 68% by exercising. And then that's it. Wow. But look at this. It's like I'm saying so much. It takes care of almost everything. It's like you're getting to the point, well, wow, it does everything, man. It's just amazing. Exercise is like the elixir of a lot of our problems. Half an hour of daily moderate intensity running is as effective as medication in the treatment of clinical depression. There's a doctor in the United States, his name is Neil Medley. He's put together a program called the Depression Recovery Program, and I helped him out at one of his programs. And one of the mainstays, he tries to decrease or totally get rid of a lot of the medications they take for depression. And one of the things we have them do is exercise twice a day. Right when you wake up in the morning, in the evening, and you're constantly moving. And these people are feeling happier. Because what happens is when you exercise, the body emits this hormone called serotonin, which is a feel-good hormone, along with dopamine. And those are the same, the medications do the same thing. But what they do is they stop the breakdown of those hormones and help you to feel better. You get the same thing from exercise. God made it so that if you exercise and you follow His health principles, you don't need all these medications. But it is easier to just put a pill in your mouth, right? That's the problem. But when you put the pill in your mouth, you don't get all of these other benefits, right? You have to take one pill for everything I've talked about. And I've talked about 15 things. You have to take 15 pills to get the benefit of just going walking for 30 minutes or going for a jog. Okay, so who am I? This is me. I did gymnastics in college. I've always been somebody that's been very active, like especially in college and beyond, in high school. I just like being active. You know, I like bicycling and running. I went and used your pool. I like swimming. Apparently not. Does anybody else like to swim here? No, a couple people? It's not so popular in the Philippines, huh? Everywhere in the States, people swim a lot. And, my mom doesn't even know how to swim, you know? But when you think about it, we don't spend too much time swimming. We walk everywhere, right? We weren't born in the water, so you have to learn. But I enjoy doing a lot of exercise types of things. I used to lift weights a lot in college. Did a lot of sports in my childhood. I played soccer in college, gymnastics in high school and college. I really got into weightlifting. When I was in college, I was lifting weights a lot. We were doing this competition, who can bench the most weight, and I won one of those competitions. Yes, my wife, I used to be very big, you know, and I used to, actually I think it was almost, because my diet wasn't good. I ate a lot of protein, a lot of meat, and I didn't really care about vegetarian lifestyle. I wasn't really worried about how long I lived. I was more worried about how big I looked, and how strong I was, you know. And I used to look at my wife and hold her up in the air, you know, and I can't do that anymore, but I'm going to live longer. I can still do this with my wife. We can do that maybe sometime before we leave. Put her here, and then press her up in the air. So that's pretty fun. We like doing those types of things. We started getting to something called marathons and triathlons. You guys do those here? And the marathons are 44 kilometers, I think. And the triathlons where you swim and then you bike and you run, and it kind of gets all your muscles together. And you feel so tired from doing it, and after you feel so good in your body. When you push it, your body naturally grows. I remember when I was running these triathlons, and I see some of these people, when you're running, they have to mark your age, because each age group leaves at different times. And they put the age usually on the back of their calf muscle. And I remember I was running, there's this guy in front of me, and I was always trying to catch up with him. And I'm like running my hardest, and I was 28 at the time. Running, man, I can't catch up with this guy in this kind of hard distance. I finally was trying to catch him. He's always ahead of me. And finally I got up to him, and I was trying to catch him, and I could never catch him, and I finally got up to him and looked, and then guess what number it was on the back of his leg? 76. That guy was amazing. 76. Yeah, I do this all the time. And I was in really good shape. You know, so this, you know, there's if you do these things often, what a witness that is. Amen. You don't expect 76-year-old people to be in wheelchairs, right? You know, this guy is fit, exercising, and this exercise is one of the longevity factors. Okay, so this is before I used to exercise. This is a picture of my sister. That's me there with my belly. My two brothers. And before I got into exercise, my dad was in the Marines. He talks a lot about Marines. And he would be gone for a long time at work, and he wouldn't come home till late at night. And our bus after school, we'd get home at 2 o'clock. So we had a long time to just sit at home and eat chicken pot pie and donuts and play video games. And then, you know, we just never exercised. It was just, I was always getting fat. And then eventually we played sports, but, you know, it was kind of hard. And so, but as I started to realize that, let's see here, in school I was one of the fattest kids in my class. I remember one time they took my blood pressure when I was 12 years old, and I was watching a video, a home video, and the number that the guy said, because I asked him, what's your blood pressure? And he's like, oh, it's above average. I was a pre-hypertensive, stage 1 hypertension, at 12 years old. I didn't know it at the time, I didn't know the numbers, but a sedentary lifestyle, always snacking, poor diet. But it's cool now, you know, I mean, I like to exercise now, so what's amazing is that we can make changes. It doesn't matter where you are, you can always start and become a new creature by making a change in life. This not only applies to the physical, but also to the spiritual, right? We saw last night people that were touched, and they said, I want to make a different change in my life. I want to go a different direction. And so God allows that the same Holy Spirit that convicts us to make a choice to follow Christ when it comes to walking into the waters of baptism. I believe it's the same conviction when He convicts us to take care of the bodies He's given us. Amen? Okay, so we're all on a journey. Nothing that's worth anything is easily attained without sacrificing something. Read that with me. Nothing that's worth anything is easily attained without sacrificing something. If it came easy, it's probably not worth it, right? That's another way to put it. All the things, if you want to be an excellent pianist, do you think people are born playing the piano? They have to sacrifice time and work at it. They were horrible. But you have to work to have the freedom to play the piano with elegance, and you have to be able to put the time into it. The godly may trip 7 times, but they will get up again. But one disaster is enough to overthrow the wicked. Proverbs 24:16. So it's also being willing to make mistakes. But it says the godly makes mistakes. It doesn't say the godly never makes mistakes. The godly is willing, a righteous man is willing to get back up. It's the wicked that stay on the ground. Okay, so I've divided, I think I have these, this here. Where's my friend JD? Is he still around? Ah, there he goes. Popping his head out of there. I don't want them to have it's exercise. Oh, here it is. It's right here. This one. Okay, so, Dr. Shives, 10 exercise tips. So, 10 tips, I'm going to give you 10 tips on exercise, okay? And hopefully these tips, these are things that I've given instruction to patients that I see on a daily basis. These are things that I've found have made exercise easier and worth it. Okay, so let's go through it. 10 exercise tips. Okay, so the first tip is start where you are. Okay? You don't have to run a marathon tomorrow. You know? You're maybe not, maybe I'm not even ready to run a marathon tomorrow. It takes a lot of training. But you can do something easier. You can do 10 push-ups. My wife used to never be able to do pull-ups. But she can do 5 pull-ups now. that it started where she was, and I'd take her legs and help her a little bit, you know? And then the next day, or like the next week, it got a little easier, and the next week a little bit easier, and now she can do 5 by herself. You know, our bodies grow. Start where you are. Set goals constantly. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you get there? Keep yourself motivated. That's one of the big things about when you make a health decision. Many of us, we're motivated, especially at January 1. It's the New Year's, we make these New Year's resolutions, and we're so motivated, it's going to be a different year. But by February 1, it's over, right? People buy all this exercise equipment in America, and then by February 1, they're trying to return it. You know? So keep yourself motivated. Find ways to keep yourself motivated. Establish a routine. Once you have a routine, you don't have to think. The problem with exercise is we tend to think too much. And so if we tend to think too much, then we start thinking, you know what? It's kind of nice sleeping. You know, I didn't really put a plan together. It's all this effort. You know, maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. If you have a routine that you can just check off, you know, it's easier just to get done. So plan ahead of time to what you're going to do. Vary your types of exercises. Don't do the same exercise all the time. If you're a runner, don't run every day. You know, run one day, swim one day, do some weightlifting some day, you know, do some aerobics exercises. You know, go outside and chop some wood. You know, do things that are different, that also get your heart rate up. And we'll talk more about that. Environment is the key. Know where your limits are. Your body will tell you. Have disciplined nutrition. Make it a lifestyle, and just do something. At the end of the day, if you forget everything I say, just do something. You know, if it's like, oh, there's so much information, Dr. Shimes, I can't remember all 10 things, I'm just going to get like, no, I mean, just do something, you know? Instead of getting on the motorcycle to go to class, just walk. You know, I mean, find ways for yourself to find exercise throughout your time. Okay. Myth number 1. I'm too far gone to start exercising. There's no way I can exercise. I mean, my lifestyle is so horrible. Well, as long as you are still breathing, you can exercise. It is never too late or never too hard. So start where you are. Tip number 1. All right, so this is 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 2. So Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" And she said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil." God takes us where we're at. He doesn't ask us to get things we don't. You start with what you have, and God will increase it. Amen? Can you see this picture? This guy's pulling an airplane. It's amazing, you know? I mean, you don't have to do that. But by the end of this lecture, you will be able to. There will be a toy airplane. Okay. Don't start where you want to be, but make sure you write down where you want to be. Yesterday we talked about goals. If you didn't get a chance to come yesterday, find a lecture. You know, set goals up. Or you can do it yourself. Just write down, what are my goals? What is my goal for every day? What is my goal? My weekly goal, my monthly goal, and then my yearly goal, then 5 years from now. If you write it down, you're more likely to accomplish it. No matter your sex, your age, your weight, chronic conditions, or coordination abilities. Don't need to go to a gym to get into shape. Start walking around your neighborhood, or around your campus, or wherever you live, where you're from. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, there's so much natural trails and beauty here in the Philippines. It's amazing. You have a lot of places to go. You can do push-ups, like if you're watching television. You know, you're watching a show or something. You're watching HCBN, and there's a commercial. You know, just sit there. You know, start doing some push-ups, you know? Or if you're studying for your test, take a break, do some push-ups. You know, do some sit-ups. You know, just do something. I like to do pull-ups. We have this bar, I put a bar in the door, and every time because I have to study for some test or something, you know, my rule is every 45 minutes, I get up. I'll go outside, I walk, I do some push-ups, I do some pull-ups, I do a handstand, you know, just to get the blood flowing. And then when I go back into my studies, I feel so much better. You know, because the 45 minutes with a little bit of exercise in between is more efficient than if you stayed studying the whole hour. Same thing, the same principle with the Sabbath. If you work for 6 days and take 1 day off, it's more efficient than to work all the 7 days. God wants us to take breaks. You know, We overtax our minds when we don't take breaks. Pace yourself. Overdoing it in the beginning can sabotage your plans. Don't get so excited, and then you go, and then you hurt yourself. You know? Take your time. You know, you have the rest of your life to exercise. Start slow. Now is better than Monday. You know how we're always saying, I'll start Monday, or I'll start Sunday. You know? Just start now. You know? I'll let you out early. You can do some exercise right after we leave here, okay? I promise. Okay, let's see. Okay. Learn from experts and knowledgeable friends. So you have a friend that exercises, ask them, what are you doing? You have a friend, this is the key. It's the principle of by beholding we become changed. If you want to be wealthy, hang out with rich people. If you want to be funny, hang out with funny people. If you want to be a doctor, hang out with people that are going to be doctors. If you want to be a nurse, hang out with people that want to be nurses. If you want to be smart, hang out with smart people. If you want to do drugs, hang out with people that do drugs. If you want to be fat, hang out with fat people. You know, you naturally do these things. If you want to be in shape and exercise, hang out with people that also want to exercise. Okay? It's important. Because there will come a time where you don't want to do something, but your friend will want to do it, and he'll encourage you or she'll encourage you. All right, myth number 2. I should use my feelings as a gauge to determine how hard to push myself. That's a myth. You know, some people say, I'll do push-ups, or I'll just go for a walk until I get tired. You know, you ever heard someone say that? I'll just walk till I get tired. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't want to exercise, you'll get tired after 3 steps. So, I'd rather go back to sleep. No, set a goal. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups. Because what happens is that you'll feel tired, but because you put that number in your head, you'll go through the tired. You'll overcome the tired. It's kind of like if you want to go, like tomorrow we're going to do outreach. There's times when I'm like, you know what, I'd rather just not knock on somebody's door. I'd rather not have to talk to somebody about Jesus. But you know what? I made a commitment that I'm going to go do something, and so I set a goal, and I'm going to do it. You know, we easily are discouraged in many areas of life. But if we set goals and we say, I'm going to do this, commit it to the Lord, and just do it. Okay. Set goals constantly. 1 Corinthians 9:26 says, so I do not run aimlessly, I do not box as one beating the air. I mean, even Paul said, we need to know what we're doing. Set direction, set goals. Don't just go out and do something. Make a plan, right? You guys heard that from one of the previous lectures with Pastor Sean, right? About setting goals, setting plans, and then going after it. Same thing when it comes to exercise. This is my wife here. She ran a half marathon, and she set a goal, and she did it. When we set goal, it provides positive stress. We set goals, and so it's constantly pushing us forward. Not all stress is negative. There's positive stress as well. Don't stop based on feeling unless it's pain. So let's say you're running, and you're running, and you're running, and then you feel like a pop. And you have set a goal. There's certain types of feelings that stop, okay? So you don't want to push through pain. If you want to push through a cramp or discomfort, that's one thing. But if you hurt yourself, your body's telling you to stop, okay? Short-term goals for each exercise and each rep. So this basically means that, you know, make goals for everything. Set a goal for this, you know. Like I just got done swimming. I did a lap in the pool. And so what I usually do is, when I swim, I'll swim 10 lengths. And then I'll stop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll time myself. Okay, and I'll be like, okay, let me time myself. How fast does it take? How long does it take me to go from one side to the other? And then I'll go back. And so I set these small little goals, and over the course of the time, all of a sudden I've done 10. You know, and then I set how long did that take? And I like trying to beat myself by a second each time, because that way I'm pushing myself a little harder. I can't just go out there and I'm just going to swim and have fun. You know, I need some kind of a goal. And when you have that goal, then you can write it down like, oh man, I did better today. And then you come back the next week, oh man, I'm doing better. And you can see that progression, you know? Okay, long-term goal. And if your goal may be, let's say, to lose weight, or to maybe lose some inches around your waist, or or be able to do more pull-ups, or whatever it is, run faster than 1 mile or a 5K faster. Push yourself to improve, and then write it down. Write it down. Write down where you're at. Keep, like, we keep journals. Write it down. I like to put it up where I can see it often, like on a piece of paper on the wall or something. Write down, okay, where am I at today? And then you can compare it to where you're at and just see where you're going. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, keep yourself motivated. This is from Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 through 14. Brothers, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Press forward. Don't let discouragement stop you, okay? Stay motivated. Remember, when you write things down, Ellen White says that, we have nothing to fear for the future unless we forget how the Lord has led us in our past, right? Reward yourself. Think, I've come a long way. So you keep yourself motivated by focusing on why you began. Remind yourself of the reasons why. It's good to have reasons. Why do I want to exercise? I want to stay healthy. I would like to live longer than my grandparents lived. I want to be a good example for my brothers and sisters. Whatever your motivation is, write those things down so that if you're ever tempted to give up your exercise, you can look back and say, do I still have those same goals? Am I still that same person? Then how come I'm not willing to exercise? Hey, I'm talking to you as somebody that struggles. We all struggle with this when it comes to staying motivated. Because we as humans always want to do the easiest thing. That's why we invented the car. Because a lot of us don't like to walk. The airplane, because we don't want to take a boat across the Pacific. We invented tractors so we don't have to sit there and dig a hole and make a farm. That's the whole history of humanity, is trying to find an easier way to do something. Right? That's why we have speed bumps, because we're always trying to find easy ways to get down the road, on our motorcycles. Okay, track your progress. And read and watch. I love reading and watching success stories. Have you guys heard of the Hoyt family? Okay, how many of you guys have heard of the Hoyt family? I'm just going to tell you, for those of you that have not heard, I usually read it, but basically this gentleman here, this is Dick Hoyt and his son Ricky. And back in the 60s, his son was born with cerebral palsy. Basically means that his brain didn't get enough oxygen, and so he's not able to move his limbs, his legs, not able to communicate. He's only able to move like a pinky or something like that. And the people that the doctor said, your son's not going to amount to anything, just put him away in an institution. And the dad's like, no. He's our gift from God. We're going to take him. We're going to raise him like a normal kid. We don't even want to stick him in special schools. He's going to go to regular school. He's going to be a regular kid. So they did that. And one day, his son had a classmate. I think he was in 5th grade. His son had a Ricky had a classmate that was diving into a swimming pool. And he dove head first, and he broke his neck. And he became a quadriplegic. And all of a sudden, Ricky's like, man, he's like me now. And the school decided, let's hold a race to raise awareness for quadriplegics. And so Ricky's like, Dad, I want to be in that race. Can we be in the race? And his dad was fat, unhealthy. He's like, man, I think his dad at this time was like 40 years old. He's like, I don't know, Ricky, I don't think we can do this. He's like, Dad, I'd really love to do this. He's like, all right, let's do it. So his dad would take a stroller and put a 50-pound bag of rice in the stroller or concrete or something and run around to practice. And then when the race time came, he put his son in a stroller and he pushed his son and ran the race. And they came second to last place. And his dad's like, oh, I'm a failure. It was a 5-mile run. And at the end, his son communicated to him and said, Dad, when you're pushing me, I feel like a normal kid. When the wind's blowing through my hair, I feel like I'm a normal kid. And his dad's heart was touched. He's like, wow, my son feels normal. So they started signing up for every race. And to make a long story short, they've done marathons. His dad they do the Ironmans, where you're swimming 2.4 miles, 112-mile bike ride. you know, and then a 26.2 mile run at the end. And he has, I mean, he would beat me if I didn't have anything, you know? I mean, it's just amazingly fast. And his dad, doctors told him, listen, you probably would have died in your 50s because you're such bad health. But since you've helped your son realize his dream, he's helped you by blessing your health because now you're in such a good shape. And many people know this, and they go around talking, and it's a good example not only of exercise, but our Father's love for us. You know, how really we're just like this little guy, you know, Ricky. You know, we can't do anything for ourselves, and we need our Father to push us along, right? So I love reading stories like this. Whenever I have a hard time exercising, I'm like, man, I can't exercise. I feel so lazy. And I think about this guy. It's like, man, he's like almost 70 years old now. He's still doing marathons, pushing his son. Like, man, well, I guess if he can do it, I can do it, you know. So, I mean, whatever it takes to motivate you, you know. Read inspirational stories of other people that have achieved many things. Attend events that reinforce positive behaviors like this. You know, you're attending these PYC things. Okay, so number 4, establish a routine. If you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. This is a guy named Dave Ramsey. He's a radio show host in the United States, and he's a Christian broadcaster. He basically helps people to live good habits when it comes to finances. And basically the premise, he likes to say this: sacrifice now. And you know, when people are always wanting to go out to eat, or they want to go spend money on this, or they're always buying the newest things, like the new Apple iPhone or new iPods or whatever. You know, be willing to sacrifice now so you can get out of debt. You have debt, pay off your debts. Many of you guys are in school, you may have debts, pay off your debts. My wife and I, we're trying as much as possible to pay off our debts. You know, we sacrifice a little bit to go to things like this and to other places, but you know, we still have a very small car, and you know, we've concentrated and we're trying to just put all our money to paying our debts off, and we don't go out to eat a lot because we want to, because I have friends that were in medical school. You know, medical school debt now is somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000 US, and that's a lot of money. And some people, 10 years, 15 years after graduating from medical school, they still have all the debt because they buy a Mercedes or BMWs right afterwards, and they want to live like everyone else, but then later on they still have the same problems. So Dave Ramsey says, keep living and sacrifice. Live like no one else does now, so that later on you can live like no one else. Right? You see that point? Same thing with exercise. Live like no one else now, so that later on you'll be able to do things you would not have been able to do before. Okay, rather than impromptu exercising, take the complexity out of planning the exercise, so when it's time to work out, you can just do it. Plan ahead of time. So like, let's say Sunday. Sunday is the first day, you know, you come, you sit down, okay, this week, on Monday, I'm going to go for a jog. On Tuesday, I'm going to do some exercise upper body. Wednesday, I'll go play basketball with my friends. Thursday, I'm going to do this. Friday is going to be a short, it's going to be I'm going to get ready for Sabbath, so I'll just go for a walk. Sabbath, I'll go for a walk before church. You know, something less strenuous on Sabbath. And then Sunday, that'll be my rest day, and that's my time to plan my exercises. You know, something like that. You know, where you're constant. So that way, you plan it out ahead of time, so then when that day comes, all you have to do is just do what you planned. You don't have to think, oh, what should I do today? You know, so just take the complexity out of it. Morning workouts are better, but Premax principle. Oh, see, let me see here. I don't remember that principle. It's been a while since I did this. Okay, Premax principle. Students will be more motivated to perform a particular activity if they know what they will be able to partake of a more desirable activity as a consequence. Oh, okay, so this is a psychological principle. If we know that it's basically we will be willing to suffer if we know that suffering leads to some kind of a prize. So it may be the ability to win a race, the ability to be able to slam dunk a basketball, I don't know, whatever your goal is. And so this is a psychological principle. When I was putting this together, I had a woman, Dr. Gui, she was telling me all these little principles to kind of put into this talk. Okay, so habits die hard. Most psychologists believe it takes 21 days to develop a habit. right? You guys have heard that before?
Yeah.
It cements it to be, because choices over time become habits, and then habits over time become character, right? And so we need to develop it so that exercise becomes part of and it becomes a habit, and eventually it'll become second nature. You will actually exercise. If you get to the point where you exercise regularly, you'll get, I don't know, some of you may be like this. I actually get to the point now, if I don't exercise, I feel depressed. Because I'm so used to exercising all the time. And so my body's like, what are you doing? Even when I take these airplane trips, like when I had to fly from the United States, I got up like every hour or so, get up and walk around stretching. I didn't do a handstand on the airplane. I don't want to get arrested. But find ways to incorporate exercise and make it a habit. Allow flexibility in your schedule. Sometimes you have to go to BYC, but you may not be able to do the same routines, but try to find ways to still do something, so you don't totally give it up. Okay, this was Jose's story. Okay, you guys. So some of you have heard this before, but I put this in here. This is a guy. Let's see here. This is a guy I met at church. This is in 2007. And it's kind of funny, when people find out you're a doctor, they expect that you know everything about everything. So like, oh, could you give us a talk on health? I was like, okay. So I had to put things together. And I presented a talk that I presented 2 days ago on nutrition. And there was this guy sitting in the audience, big fat guy, and this guy Jose, weighed 300 pounds. He's a really nice guy. And I had a group of people a little bit bigger than this, and they're sitting there. And I didn't know if anybody was listening, because I was just talking about the health message, the importance of diet, and exercise, and all these things. And at the end, asking people to take a Daniel challenge. And basically what the Daniel challenge was, God impressed Daniel that he needed to be faithful with his diet. And so he didn't eat the king's meat or drink the king's wine. And so for 10 days, he said, just give me vegetables, or, pulses, vegetables, and grain, and then water to drink. And at the end of the 10 days, this guy was blessed. He looked better than the rest of the people that were eating the king's meat. And then so Daniel kept that diet for 3 years. He was basically a vegan vegetarian for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, and there's no historical evidence that Daniel was a vegetarian when he was in Israel. He probably wasn't, but he was when he was in Babylon. And he did it. And so at the end of the 3 years, they interviewed him, and he was 10 times smarter in all areas, and he was prophesying. And so I was like, man, let's give it a shot. And I shared with them, that I wasn't always a vegetarian, and somebody gave me a Daniel challenge as well. And so this guy, I had no idea he was paying attention. I thought, oh man, that guy probably is going to beat me up because he doesn't want me to tell him he can't eat meat anymore or whatever. Because sometimes, you talk to people about diet and they feel like they're going to, you're like their worst enemy. But anyways, I was like, listen, this is what the science is saying, this is what the Bible says, spirit of prophecy. So anyways, this guy Jose, he tells the story. He says, listen, when I came to your lecture, Dr. Shives, I couldn't sleep laying down. I had to sleep in a chair because every time I lay down, I feel like I was suffocating. I was snoring so bad, I woke up multiple times at night and I couldn't sleep. I had to use this thing called a CPAP machine. You guys have those here, where you put this mask on your face and it blows air to keep your nose open. I had to take blood pressure medications. This guy was 20 years old. He says, he could run from this door to that door, and he would be out of breath, sweating. Horrible, And he used to work as a mechanic, and he wasn't able to get underneath the cars because his belly was so big. I know it's kind of funny, but it's kind of sad too, And he was always depressed. He was a real nice guy, but he was always depressed. And he felt guilty, it was affecting his relationship with God. But he decided, I didn't know, I made him feel, if you're willing to take this Daniel challenge, stand up. And I looked around, and there was a few people that stood up, but it was kind of dark, and I didn't know if Jose stood up or not. Well, anyways, Jose decided to take the Daniel challenge, and that's Jose later. He lost 160 pounds in 8 months. He changed his diet, he started riding his bike every day. And he would ride everywhere he went. He said, you know what? I used to take the bus, but I'm going to buy a bike and I'm just going to ride. He would ride 20 miles a day on his bike. This guy was very fat. You know, I don't know. I think he had to like change his tire a lot because he kept flapping it. You know, but I mean, he was like, look, I'm just going to do it. And after 10 days, he lost 10 pounds. He's like, wow, man, this works. So he's like, I'm just going to keep doing it. So he said he gave up steak, then he gave up hamburger, and then finally he gave up fish. And he said he gave up milk. He's like, I just became a vegetarian. I stopped using ketchup. He went extreme. He's like, I wasn't even using salt. I wasn't using anything. I was just bland diet, very simple. He's like, I even tried eating raw vegetables and stuff. And he was like, man, he's like, I love it. I was feeling great. He said about halfway into it, he had lost about 50 pounds. He's like, I didn't realize it. I'm able to sleep on my back. And I saw this guy in church. 8 months later, I attended this very large church. It's almost the size of PIC in Florida. And this guy's like standing there, and he's like still like this across the church. I'm like, who's that? I asked Janelle, I said, Janelle, do you know who that guy is? He kind of looks like Jose. Maybe it's his brother or something. So I walked up to him and said, hey, I'm Jason. How you doing? He's like, Dr. Schatz, look what happened. I was like, what? I'm Jose. I said, you're Jose? He was like, man, what did you do? He's like, I did the Daniel challenge. I totally forgot about that because that was 8 months ago. You know, I hadn't talked to him. I was like, wow, let me take your picture. That's amazing. And he goes around now, he tells people and motivates them on these types of things now. And now, I mean, he's got a girlfriend now. You know, I mean, he's got a job. He can fit underneath the cars now. He goes around and he preaches. He's become like a lay pastor. And it's amazing just because God gave him the victory in this area. It's amazing. You feel better. When you get done exercising, some people, like, you feel a little tired. But you get the sense of accomplishment when God gives you these little victories. So stay active. If Jose was here today, he would tell you, stay active with the Lord and stay active with your body. Amen? Amen. Okay, so vary your exercise routine. All parts of the body, if used in moderation and exercise, become thereby healthy, well-developed, and age more slowly. But if unused, they become liable to disease, defective in growth, and age quickly. Hippocrates. Hippocrates is kind of the father of medicine, of allopathic medicine. There's a Hippocratic oath. So basically, he knew this 2,000 years ago. This is Fred Glass, 72-year-old gentleman, lifting a barbell that weighs 315 pounds. This is what he does for his exercise. And just stay active as long as you make it your lifestyle. Vary your muscle routine. Okay, so to drive away muscle and brain boredom, do things that are different. Maybe one day go run through the woods, or go swimming, or don't always do the same thing all the time. Unless you're training for like a marathon or something, where you have to be in a regimented routine. But just do something that causes you to sweat and that gets your heart rate up. Okay? You see on the bottom of your paper, you have the ability to check what your heart rate is, your resting heart rate. We'll do that in just a little bit. So there's ways to vary your exercise, right? So to get the same benefit from your exercise, you can modify 4 different things. The acronym is FITT, F-I-T-T. So F stands for frequency, I is for the intensity of your exercise, T is for the time that you spend exercising, and T is for type. Okay? So if you increase any one of those, you can decrease the others. So let's say, and still get the same benefit. So let's say I only want to exercise. Somebody came up to me the other day and said, Dr. Stiles, I only have 20 minutes to exercise. I don't have 60 minutes to exercise. Okay, well then you have to exercise harder, and you get the same benefit. So what I told them to do is, this is kind of cool. I do this too. If I'm in a rush, let's say I only have like an hour, and I have to get ready for a talk, or I need to do something. There's this thing called, it's called I might have this in here, a 20-minute interval, where you start out and you just start walking. You just go out, like you can use the loop here around your campus. It's good here because there's hills. It's excellent. That's good training. So that when you run, if you run any races like in Manila where it's flat, you'll actually do better. But anyways, you start off, you kind of walk comfortably, and then it's nice to have a watch. Every minute go a little bit faster. okay? So you can go based on your feelings, okay? So 10, a 1 is like standing still. This is a 1. 10 is all out sprinting, like a dog is chasing you, okay? And it's trying to bite you, it's got rabies. That's how fast would you run. That's a 10. 5 is like a jog, okay, or like a nice easy jog, okay? So you start off at like a 3. And then every minute go up by a number, and then at the 5th minute, run a 9. Do it for 1 minute. Whatever your 9, so my 9 may be different than his 9, may be different than her 9, okay? And then at the end of the minute, look, stop. Go back down to a 5. Very easy. And you do that, you do that, you do that. Slowly build yourself back up until you get to minute number 10. And then you do a 9 again. 1 minute, bam, stop. Okay, so now you're at 11 minutes, right? So you go back down to 5, and then you rest down at 5, you're like, that 1 minute, you just calm down, and then you slowly build up, go to 6, go to 7, go to 8, and then it's at 15 minutes, do a 9 again. You do that, and then you do that all the way until you get to the last, you do that again, you rest, go back to 5, and then when you get to the 20th minute, you run it again. You do that one more time, 9. Now for those that are advanced, what I try to do is at the 20th minute, I'll run another minute. So you do 2 minutes of the 9, and actually, that second one is a 10. And you run as hard as you can for another minute. A minute, you think about it, a minute's not very long, right? I mean, 24 hours in a day, 1 minute, it's gonna hurt. But you're just thinking, oh Lord, please help me, please, you know, and just run, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, good, and you stop. You're done. That's all the exercise you need to do that day. 20 minutes. And you've just worked out the equivalent of a nice, easy jog for 60 minutes. You know, the harder the exercise, especially if you're trying to lose weight, there's this thing called afterburn. What your body does after you're done exercising, the harder you work out, if you have some friends that are trying to lose weight, they're like, oh, I'm a little too fat. If you exercise hard, your body will continue to burn calories. You burn calories when you're exercising, but it'll also burn calories for the next 24 hours. The harder you work out. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Okay, let's keep going. Cardiovascular versus strength training, that's just different types. Vary it up. Sometimes cardiovascular is just when you're out of breath. Anything that you do that causes you to be out of breath is cardiovascular because your heart's having to pump more. When you do strength training, that's more anaerobic, and you need both. You need a combination of both. But the best for longevity is cardiovascular.